Hi everyone, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and I want to show you a really cool technique that I have tried some time ago. If you remember, I think this was the year before last with the snails. That's not really the part I'm showing you, but I did this like DIY stencil background. So what I did is I used a punch, and I just punched a bunch of random holes in a piece of white cardstock, and then I used it as a mask. So we're going to do that same thing again today, but we're actually going to use the tropical leaf punch. Okay, so this is an online exclusive. It is now I'm not a huge fan of photopolymer. If you know me, you know that, so just know that ahead of time, but it is a photopolymer stamp set, but I love the images, so I made an exception. It does come with this really cool punch as well if you get the bundle. So this is an online exclusive. You will not be able to find this in any catalog. You actually have to go to my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net, and then if you click online exclusives, you'll be able to find this. There's definitely a lot of different things there. Things come and go. They're not really guaranteed to be in stock any particular amount of time, but recently the Rhino Ready stamp set and dies were there. I think the dies may be sold out. I'm not really sure about the stamp set, but that is where you'll find all the new products. So I want to show you what I did before I show you the card. So, and I actually did two different things. So I made this mask. So this is just a quarter sheet of cardstock, and I created this mask just out of thick white cardstock. So I've used this for all the cards I've made thus far. So I want to show you a couple of the things that I've done. And then the other thing I did is I even punched some of these out of masking paper, and that's when I came to the realization that I think I punched these one way and then I actually used them upside down because it matches this way, but I think somehow I flipped them over. So a few of my second images, you'll understand when you see why they're not quite the same exactly lined up. But I used some of our masking paper to do some masking. So here is one idea I came up with. And what I did is I used, I'm trying to think. I've used so many different combinations. I want to make sure I tell you the correct one. I used, darn, it ran away from me, soft sea foam. And then I actually used Tranquil Tide. And I actually even used the Tranquil Tide marker. So what I did is I put the mask over top, and I'll show you what I mean. So I put the mask over top. I'm trying to think how I started with this one because I did a bunch of them in random order, right like this. Now the only thing you have to be a little bit wary of is when you're using these, so I just use different blending brushes. When you're blending, if you go outside, you will get a line, and I did end up with some lines here, which is why I went over it, the whole situation, with very, very light Tranquil Tide. But what I did is I started out by lining up my stamp. And I did use a sticky mat, so I'll explain that in a little bit. That's not something we carry, that's an outside product. But I used the fine tip end and I traced the marker. I traced the leaf. I went around with the marker, and then I just continued going various spots. Then I went back after the fact with the same Tranquil Tide full strength ink, and I used the large, these are the veins of the leaf. I used those, and I just stamped them down. And then I noticed that I had a few lines. So you'll see I have one here. There's a very light one here, and I just kind of filled it in with a really light Tranquil Tide all over. I still think it looks really cool. Then another thing I did is I used it with, what did I do on the inside here? This was Garden Green, but it was Garden Green without re-inking. So same thing again, I kind of lined these up, and I moved them all around, so nothing you're going to find is in the same spot. I just added different ones in different positions. So I moved them around. I inked them lightly, and then I went in with these masks, and this is where I came to the point where I realized that I did them a little bit backwards. But I created these masks and I overlaid them, and I realized that when I removed it, there was still white behind it, which I still think it looks cool, so it's a pretty neat idea. But just need to make sure whatever way you punch, you're actually using it. So I could use it this way, but my fear was the ink would transfer. So if I did it this way, if you'll see, it doesn't exactly line up. So it would be a little bit more accurate with my masks. Woo, words are hard today. With my masks that I made. So this is another version. Okay, so these are just some samples. I'm going to show you how to create the mask, and I'm going to show you how to use it. But this is the card. This is the first card that I actually did. Now this one I used Lemon Lime Twist. So I went in first with Lemon Lime Twist on the light end. Then I brought some Shaded Spruce around on the dark side. I used the Shaded Spruce to stamp the veins. And then I actually used, let me see if I can find it, my dark Melon Mambo Stampin' Blends. And I just rubbed the tap against it to get the flicker motion there. And I thought it would look really cool backed on black. So again, this is Melon Mambo base card. Melon Mambo is the blend. I even put a little bit around here, and I die cut this with the deckled rectangles. So this I think is super cool. What I also did, which I'm not sure if you can really see or not, but I ran this through. We have a new pack of essential embossing folders. I'll show you which one it is. Where is it? I put them to the side because I didn't want them to fall over, and apparently now I put them away so well I can't find them. Well, we'll find them by the time the end of the the show. Here they are, right in front of me. This is, it's like a thatched, it's really, really cool. It's great like a basket weave. You could use this for many, many different things. The only thing is, because I still have my Big Shot and I actually already adhered the black, so both of them are die cut, I had to really fool around to figure out how to get it through. So we also have one that is dots, and then there's a third one, but I put that somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it is. I wasn't using that one. And then I finished it off by adding, I believe these are the enamel dot essentials. I just put small, medium, large. So I thought that was really, really cute. So I'm going to show you what I did. We're going to get started. Now what we're going to do to begin with is I'm going to just do, and then we'll finish these up as well. I'm going to just do the same card over for you again so you can see what I did. So a while back, a friend of mine sent me this mat, and it's a sticky mat. And it's really, really nice because if you're trying to do some ink blending on something, it's really great. The only thing is when you're finished, you'll notice this one isn't so bad, but this is very tacky on the back, which is great if you're adhering it. But when you're trying to peel it off, it's a little bit stuck. So I'm not familiar with this mat. Maybe you have one of these. Maybe you are familiar with it. But I'm going to just pull half off. And apparently you actually can clean these and reuse them. So I just haven't gotten to that part yet. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to show you the way I did it. And then I'm going to tell you about the whole thing about flipping it over. Okay. So we're just going to, the reason that this was helpful is because it's stuck to the edges here. So it kind of helped my mask in place a little bit, if that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to begin with my lightest color, which was Lemon Lime Twist. This is a returning color. So you can see I have some ink here, so I'm going to just kind of start off to one side. And then here is where you want to be careful, wherever you have a line. Now this is the edge of the card, so it really won't matter so much. Okay, just try to be careful right there. This one, and the nice part about this is depending on where, right here I'm going to be careful as well, depending on where you go, you don't really need to move it yet because we can finish up our other ones and then add more. Then I'm going to grab Shaded Spruce. Same thing, I am already having some ink on here, so I'm going to just bring it in from the side. And then, yeah, I'm going to add more now. But I thought it gave a really cool hue change. Just watch. You could always, the other thing you could do if you wanted to, even if you have like a little piece of paper, like whatever kind of scrap paper it is, if you put it on the side there, you won't, so you see I have some ink there, but I won't get it on my project that I'm working on. Do the same up here if I wanted to. And I'll just do the same thing. So you could just do this with like a little scrap piece of paper, printer paper. I'm sure everybody has something laying around that you don't use. I still am tapping off because I don't want to get a really hard line with my, oh, I got a little bit overlap there, a hard line of color. So I'm just tapping off just slightly. All right, so then we're finished with that. I'm just gonna gently pick this up because I've used this, like I said, for many, many cards. So you can see I still have a little bit of a line here, but no worries. I'm gonna just move this over. So same thing again, Lemon Lime Twist. And Tranquil Tide. Tranquil Tide and Lemon Lime Twist are both returning colors. There, I missed a little spot up here I should have been careful with, but you kind of get the drift. Now, if you put, the only reason that I only put these 4 is because with this, it is a little difficult to feed it in so far and have the angles change. So I kind of just stuck 4 in one spot. So you certainly could do it differently if that's what you wanted to do. But I just kind of went with, oh, I don't want that there. There's an overlapper. I just kind of went with what I had handy. Okay. All right, so that's good enough. We're gonna just leave it like that for now. Then, while I have this out, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my veins. So I'm gonna use full strength Tranquil Tide, and I'm gonna just stamp the veins on the leaves. You can also tell that's why these don't exactly match up because the shape of this for the stamp versus how I have it stamped is just a little bit backwards. But if you've been here, you know I don't do everything the way it's supposed to be done. So I don't really know the particulars of this mat, like how you aren't supposed to clean it. So again, I'm not really 100% sure. So this one, same thing. We're gonna just put this, close these up, and I'm going to put this through, and you'll see what I mean with the removal of this. Actually, while I have it, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna take my soft seafoam, and I have just a little brush for that, just because that's what I happen to grab. And I'm gonna just go just a little bit on the edge here to kind of blend a couple of these lines. Doesn't have to be on the whole thing. There you go. Just gives it like a little bit of color so you don't really, your eye doesn't go directly to those lines. So then very carefully, I found that if you put this, kind of bend it, it lifts up for you a little bit. And then you can work your fingers underneath. And the reason that I actually got the idea of embossing this is because it was really warped from pulling it up, because it was the very first time I'd used it on something so large. So it definitely did not, I was trying to cut down on a little bit of the warping. So I'm gonna slide this in here. And you can see this is a pretty big sheet, so we're gonna definitely trim this down. So I'm gonna run this through. Now, if you just have one piece of cardstock, let me just cover this up so nothing else gets stuck to it. If you just have one piece of cardstock and you do still have the big shot, you're gonna just use your blue plate and your regular platform. So I labeled this A and this A just because it was easier for me to remember. And we could do the same thing, but instead, since I already have one that's Melon Mambo, I'm gonna do a different one. Let's do Tahitian Tide, just because that should be really pretty as well. So we're going to grab, but we'll still do black, a piece of Tahitian Tide. Grab a piece of black. Let's see if I have a scrap in here. Probably not. Nope. And I'm going to just cut these down. And I'll cut down my other one while I'm at it. So what I'm going to do, I'll just slide that over for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and score this and cut it, and then I'll trim everything else up. So scoring at 4 1/4, cutting at 5 1/2. I'm going to cut this down to 4 by 5 1/4. So it'll just be a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. And then we'll cut our layer that we just created down to 3 3/4 by 5. So now I did have a part of this that was so sticky. What I ended up doing was flipping it over to cut it, but I think we're okay with this one. So it doesn't really, yeah, we'll just cut from that side. And is there better? And we'll cut this one. So 3 3/4 by 5. You could use that for the inside or something if you wanted to. We'll see what that looks like. So we're gonna have this one here, one here. That'll look cute. So I don't really know if I still, you know what would look great with this would be Bermuda Bay. Boy, wouldn't that have made it pop, but that retired. I'm going to be on a campaign for returning that one, don't you worry. That's one of my favorite colors, that and Mango Melody. Actually, Mango Melody would have looked really nice. I have to remember that one because I did buy 2 packages of Mango Melody. I'm pretty sure Mango is still on there. It was the Bermuda that sold out, which I'm thinking if something sells out quickly, maybe that does mean it's super popular. So I'm not going to put this one yet. So maybe there's a chance that it could come back in the future. And then this one we'll put on the inside. We'll put a little white panel on there. So I have to decide now if I'm going to splatter. Now I tend to splatter with the color. I don't really know what pink would look like on there, but maybe just for a little bit of something else. How about we'll do some sweet sorbet just for the heck of it. So I'm going to just flip this over so I have something to protect my surface, and I'm going to go with light. So I'm just going to use, you could use your marker, your Stampin' Right marker, or your regular Stampin' Blend. It's up to you. Regular Stampin' Right, alcohol is Stampin' Blend. Sorry, I confused that. So I'm just going to flick the tip. That looks good. I don't want to do too much. That was the light marker. I could have also done the dark. Actually, you could probably do both because it would give you 2 different hues. Let's see. But you definitely want to make sure you have something in the background to protect your splatter. So that looks pretty cute. And then we're going to put this on here. And the only other thing we have to figure out is a sentiment. Yeah. So I think I'm going to do a similar sentiment. Trying to decide which way I like it better. Yeah, we'll go this way. So I'm definitely going to put some glue on here because it is 2 layers of cardstock. It's embossed. There was a lot of work that went into this. We do not want it to fall off. Could even put some twine underneath of there if you wanted to. Lots of different things you could do. All right, now let's see. So on this one, I did the thanks so much. And let's just do hello. We'll do something simple. And just to bring it in, since we have the splatters, let's see. No, I don't know if I want to do that. Oh, decisions. No, I'm going to stick with what I have. I'm going to do it with black. Let's grab a little scrap of, oh, that's a tiny scrap. Scrap of white cardstock. And I have my hello, and I'm just going to grab my VersaFine ink because I love that. It's great for detailed stamps. Really gives an absolutely beautiful image. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm moving over a little bit because I think I'm going to off center this to this side on this one. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to grab my deckled rectangles. Oops. And I think because this is pretty slim, it should fit. Yep, fit right there. Now what I've been doing is just cutting it off to the side. Just so I have some here. I'm going to just move it over just a little bit. Just like that. Now what would fit perfectly with this, if we had a little, and we probably do, it's retiring. If we had a little, plume, I believe they're called plumerias, that would look really pretty. Just stamp it right on the edge here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to run this through my Big Shot. Okay. And I did this before because it kind of just brings the whole thing together. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I outlined it with the Melon Mambo. So I'm going to do that with this one, with the Tranquil Tide. So I'm just using the side, brush tip side of my Stampin' Right marker. Kind of just helps it stand out against all that stuff there. Not a ton, but yeah, just like that. And then I'm going to grab a couple dimensionals and we'll just pop this up. Have trying to get all my card stuff together for Card Club, and sometimes when I pull out my inks, plus I've also removed all the inks that are retiring. I put the ones that I absolutely love and I will not get rid of to one side, and then the other ones, put him right here. I'm just going to line him up with the edge. The other ones that I'm keeping, I just kind of slide them over, which is how I ended up with my Tranquil Tide and Lemon Lime Twist. Apparently I must have gotten rid of Pretty Peacock, so I had to order a new one, but there's that. And then finally, just to kind of bring it in a little bit, and since this is a blue card, these are actually, these dots are very difficult to tell. They probably could pass for black, but they're really, really deep blue. I'll almost hesitate to say, I think they might be like a starry sky, because they're definitely not navy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick these up and put a couple of them around. Okay, do one here. I actually just ordered another pack of these. I like them so much. One here. So I have 1, 2, and we'll put one over here on the triangle. We'll use the bigger one. When you put things in, they say you want to put them in 3s because it's more visually appealing in a triangle formation, if you will. So that's what that looks like. So let me just get a couple of these things out of the way. And what I'm going to do is I will make 2 more cards. So if you go to my blog and you can check those out, I will use, I'll make something with this and with this, and even with this one here. I mean, it's a little bit of a contrast against the blue, but let me grab one more thing because I did say I was going to do that. I just trim this down 4 by 5 1/4. Put this on the bottom. I am going to use a generous amount of glue because this has some divots in it from the embossing. And we'll just lining that right up at the bottom. Going for the square, so I kind of always went a little overzealous here. Just like so. Put a little bit of glue here. And really quickly, I'm going to snip this before I adhere it. Just want to get that glue off. I really need to grab myself a pair of those easy release, I think they're silicone coated scissors, because those would be fabulous. And then we're just going to use that little scrap that we cut off just to add a little something to the inside of our card there, which I think is really, really cute. So I will make another card with these and I will post this to my blog. So make sure you go over and check that out when you're finished this video today. That is rachthestamper.com. It's kind of my landing page for all information. So when I have the new images for the paper pumpkin every month, I put them up there, all the stuff that comes in the kit. I try my very best to put any type of a special up there, anything that's going on, any kind of stamping related news. Also, when I do my shares or any things like that, I also try to add those as well. So we have Melon Mambo, then we have Tahitian Tide. This one I added a little bit of Highland Heather too, because I had my color combinations here. So these are all the colors I used for the cards today. The only color that I don't have on here is Tranquil Tide, which ended up being really, really pretty. So I hope you liked these cards that I created. I thought this was definitely a really cool way, something different to do with your punch. So again, we just went through and punched this, and I'll just kind of show you one other thing here. So you just go through and you punch, you just line it up, and then you could have just a little edge. So if you had a piece that was exactly to this size and you wanted to do it, you could even tape it back to back. That way you wouldn't have any little gaps around it. You do it that way. The only thing is you don't get the variety when you just have these. If you move it around a little bit, you'll get a little bit more spacing, which kind of think makes it cool as well. So thank you so much for stopping by. If this is a technique that you had not seen demonstrated before, or if you have an idea for something that you'd like to see done, please feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section below, or you can send me an email to rachthestamper@gmail.com. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you'd like to get any of the supplies shown in this video today, you can go to my online store, Rachthestamper.stampinup.net, and you can shop 24/7. Everything that is in stock is always there, so if for some reason you can't find something, it could potentially be on back order, although we did have a recently large list of things that are retiring to make stuff for the new make room for the new catalog, which will be starting on May the 1st. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.